That was actually Claire and Jadyn singing.
Woo!
Just that was actually, I was just
Our
doing
new
my
original
Ponyo
song.
impression. Just thought I'd play the first 20 seconds, 22, what am I saying? 22 seconds of that song for you.
Yeah.
This little introduction.
Guys, in case you didn't know, that was Ponyo. We're doing Ponyo.
Ponyo!
Welcome to Normalest Chicago Residents. We also have a special little guest here today. You may remember from our Parasite episode, the one and only Josh Peterson.
Yeah. Hey, guys.
Joshua.
I'm back with my dear friends, Jadyn Prue and Claire Smith.
Oh my god.
Yes.
My dear pals.
All right.
We had the pleasure of seeing Ponyo in theaters for the, I think, 15th anniversary.
Yes, that's correct.
Ghibli Fest?
Ghibli Fest, yeah.
Ghibli Fest at AMC. Thank you.
Okay, some people say Ghibli and some people say Ghibli.
It's Ghibli.
I thought it was Ghibli.
Because I've been told both things by different people.
I used to say Ghibli and then I was corrected to say Ghibli.
What does Hayao Miyazaki say?
Yeah, what does he say?
Because I don't know which one's right at this point, and I've been told too many different things.
Well, let's debunk this live on air.
How would you pronounce Ghibli?
Like, I've looked it up and I've heard both. I think it's
Miyazaki.
I think you can say either. I think it's more
Here,
of an American
here.
versus.
Oh, we're gonna get the full pronunciation.
Give me
After the Febreze ad.
Oh, not the Febreze
not
ad.
Febreze ad.
Not sponsored. This is a filler episode, so we're recording this sometime earlier, which is why we're not gonna go into what we're watching right now or what we're working on.
It's so sad.
They don't pronounce it like Italians do. So how does Miyazaki pronounce it? Well, who better to tell us this than the man himself?
Ghibli.
Oh, it is.
Ghibli.
Oh, okay,
Get
it is
fucked.
Ghibli. Okay.
Get fucked.
Okay, my bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
From the man.
And
himself.
somebody else was trying to correct me the other day, and now I know Hayao himself says
Was it
Ghibli.
Carmen?
Was it
I
was it
think
Carmen?
And I'm like,
Weren't we having this debate on the train?
So Carmen's
Yeah.
also been saying it wrong.
it's really okay.
All right. So
This is my first time seeing Ponyo.
this is not my first time seeing Ponyo.
Not my first time
It's a
either.
childhood classic of mine. I told my mom that I was watching it, and
Aw.
she said, "This is one of your favorite movies," and I said, "That's so true."
Aw, if I was a kid, this would have been one of my favorites.
I also watched it as a kid, but Jadyn definitely has the strongest connection to it out of the three of
It
us.
was my favorite movie as a child. And
I totally
it was really
see why.
weird watching it now because it's like there's so many things that I didn't get that were going on
Yeah.
as a kid. I also thought that we'll get into it, but I thought that the villain dude was a lot more villainy when
Yeah.
I was a kid
See,
than he turned out to be.
I remember him being, me
like,
too.
He was evil in my mind, and
Mhm.
he's just like a dude in this movie.
Yeah.
He's just trying to do his
He's
thing.
just like David Bowie.
I was so
It's
scared of
David
his little like the little pump thing that he did to like keep himself hydrated on the water. Also,
Yeah.
I didn't
The
get that
weed-
that's what that was.
The
I
weed
didn't-
killer, yeah.
I was confused by what that was as a child. Anyway,
Well, young Jane didn't have really good media literacy. Apparently.
evidently not. This movie was rated G. Does someone want to read the synopsis?
Yeah. In case you don't know.
Oh, it's directed by
this-
the one, the only Hayao Miyazaki.
Mhm.
Yes.
Legend. But Ponyo is about a young boy, Sosuke, who befriends a strange-looking goldfish, who he names Ponyo. But unbeknownst to Sosuke, Ponyo is a magic fish who has decided that she wants to live with him and the other humans. Unfortunately, Ponyo's decision to give up her underwater life creates a crack in an ancient magic spell and places the world in danger. And together, Sosuke and Ponyo must set things right.
Oh.
According to Anime
Thank
News
you
Network.
to Anime News Network.
I can never be bothered to come up with my own summary, so I just copy and paste. All right. So the cast, or it was animated by Studio Ghibli.
Ghibli.
Mhm.
The film stars Yuri Nara, Hiroki Doi, Tomoko Yamaguchi, Kazushige Nagashima, Yuki Amami, George Takoro, Rumi Hiragi, Akiko Yano, Yazuko Yoshiyuki, and Tomoko Naraoka.
If you're watching the English
Hopefully I
version.
said all those things right.
Yeah,
And if you're watching the English dub, then it has Noah Cyrus and Matt Damon and Tony
I
and
forgot about that.
Kate
Are
Blanchett.
you for real?
I am
forgot
no,
about that.
Matt Damon is in this?
yeah.
No, I remember Noah Cyrus.
Yeah, Matt Damon.
Noah Cyrus.
Matt Damon plays Matt Damon plays Sasuke's dad for like the little bit he was in.
Oh, okay.
Kate Blanchett was Ponyo's mom.
I remember that.
Oh, that
Whoa.
sounds incredible.
Who else?
And
Noah Cyrus was Ponyo. Tina Fey was Lisa, the mom.
planting the seed way.
Tina Fey is the mom.
Yeah.
Is incredible.
And best of all, Ponyo's dad was Liam Neeson.
Wait, can I see this? real
Oh,
quick?
well, who was Sosuke?
Frankie Jones. Frankie
Jonas.
Jonas. Jonas.
It wasn't the Jonas
Frankie
Brothers.
Jonas? Oh, good fucking bye. That's intriguing. But you know what? I trust the casting for the other dubs have been so good that I have to give
Betty
it a try.
White!
Betty White?
Betty White plays one of the old ladies, yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
And Lily Tomlin.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
now I wanna rewatch
it's because
the
John Lasseter and
English
Pixar
version.
produced all the dubs.
And you know what? I think he got a Slade.
Mm-hmm.
No, honestly, like, the voice acting was really good back then. Too.
Yeah, because I remember the best example I can think of is the first 2 times I saw Spirited Away were the dub, and that was the first dub that John Lasseter and Pixar ever did for them. And I mean, I still loved it then, and I didn't see the original subtitled version until it came to Ghibli Fest last year. Sorry.
Yeah.
So honestly, I mean, for the most part, I pretty much never watch movies dubbed unless it's the only way I physically can watch them. But the Ghibli dubs could be worse.
I really like them.
I remember the Ponyo. Like, I only watched Ponyo in English when I was a child.
Yeah.
Me too.
Also, when I was watching it, I don't think I was, like, my reading comprehension skills weren't
No,
probably
exactly.
where they needed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember.
I totally get, like, the argument between dub and sub, and, you know, of course it's like, yeah, I'm going to watch the sub if I can, like, because that's how it was made originally.
Mm-hmm.
But also, sorry, controversial opinion, I enjoy a dub. Especially for, like, a comedy.
It's also, like, if I just want to, like, sometimes I don't want to read a whole
Yeah.
movie. Like, that's not a bad thing.
Also, sometimes they're really well done. Example, I really like the Psyche K dub, if anybody
love
watches
that.
it. You
We've
would.
had this... You realized that I watched that show
Well,
3 times
fuck
now.
you. How am I supposed to remember all that?
Yeah, Death Note has a good
So
dub
good.
too.
I
Like,
love Death Note.
I think, listen, like, I don't know. I hate people who really shit on people for watching the dubs. That's all.
I would never shit on someone for watching it.
Exactly.
I just personally would never make that my first choice.
No, yeah, I get that.
Yeah, but the English version, like, still has nostalgia in my mind.
That's fair.
So, also, I remember some of those because I did Google the English, like, cast, like, a couple years ago, and I remember Noah Cyrus.
Yeah.
That's insane to
I
me.
did not remember Betty White or Kate Blanchett.
Surprising.
Planting the seed way in the
In the past, yeah.
for the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Pretty much the only dub that I would ever shun someone for watching is the Akira dub. It is.
Okay, yeah,
it's
that-
actually terrible. I've tried
No,
it.
yeah.
It's terrible.
It's like, plus, I don't just go in and just pick a dub. I research if the dub's actually considered good. Because sometimes people are like, no, the dub's actually better.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, now I have to see.
Yeah. Lesson to all the people who are listening: don't watch Akira dub. That's my lesson for today.
Okay, what do we like and dislike about this movie? Well, why don't we start with what do we dislike?
Girl,
Start.
it's
Honestly,
so cute.
I know.
I don't know.
I don't. I mean, it's easy because then we can just get the bad stuff out of the way and get
Okay,
save best
yeah.
for last. I think the one thing that I wouldn't even say bothered me, the one thing I was a little bit underwhelmed by is how easily the ending is resolved and how it feels kind of rushed to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree with
that's
that.
how Ghibli movies are. Like, I mean, Spirited Away ends pretty abruptly. I remember Totoro ending pretty abruptly, although it's been a long time since I've seen that. And Ponyo's another offender of that. And I mean, I totally get, they're films for kids, so they can't be too complicated. But there's still plenty of kids movies out there who have like complex plots and like emotionally satisfying endings for kids and adults alike. And not that Ponyo has a bad ending per se. I just personally wish there was a little bit more substance to it.
Yeah. I was a little confused why the mom left her son. Like, clearly the waves were, you know what I mean? Like in the middle of a tsunami.
Yeah. Let's say, did she have enough faith in her 5-year-old son to stay in the house during a tsunami?
Like, yeah, it's like, yeah, he's 5 years old, and also there's this random girl in the house too, who's also
She
young.
should have questioned that way more. I think it's cute. Like, I don't actually care, but like, girl, what?
Yeah, no,
She was
yeah.
just like, oh, hey.
Yeah, Lisa was a very
I was a
strange.
fish.
Lisa
Oh,
was a very
cool.
strange mom character.
But she's the best. I
Yeah.
love her
Oh, no,
so
she's
bad.
entertaining.
Her,
but
like,
yeah.
bad little driving.
Oh yeah,
I
she
think
she
my
would
God.
be a good fit in the Fast and the Furious movies.
She's
Yeah.
so sweet.
I did that part didn't really bother me because I feel like
No,
it's
yeah.
more like maybe weird things like this just kind of happen. Also, they live in the water, so foreseeably like other strange things probably happen around that area. But like, yeah, her leaving her like young child behind was a choice.
Yeah. no.
I feel like.
Yeah.
And then him just deciding to go after her was also a choice.
Yeah. As strange as the character is, though, I will say I really do love the chemistry between Sosuke and his mom. I think
Oh,
it's
so
it's
sweet.
very heartfelt, very personal, and just like a very very well done chemistry. Because I remember when I was watching the movie when I was young, I remember because I love my mom. She could get intense sometimes. Mom, if you're listening to this, I love you. But all moms can get intense. So if you're listening to this, I don't mean that as a bad thing. But I remember like specifically whenever Sosuke's mom was like freaking out or something, I thought it was like a very well, it connected me personally, reminded me of like childhood memories. And also the other scene that really hit me hard is when Sosuke and Ponyo find the empty car and Sasuke starts crying out for his mom. That hit me in the theaters. That brought back some childhood memories.
Yeah.
Yeah, or when she starts to turn back into like her little, like her old form when they're under the bridge and he has to run back to the water. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the relationship with his mom. I love like, even at 5 years old, like, I don't know, he's just like such a realistic little boy. Like there's if you know like if you've been around like a really smart little kid, I don't know, and that like responsibility he feels for her since like his father's out.
That's what I was
yeah.
gonna say,
So
every
cute.
Ghibli kid is really well done.
Exactly, it's so sweet without being like, immature and boring and like,
Right.
It is so sweet.
And it's like just the right amount of responsibility that they put on him without making it feel like he's like has too much responsibility as a child. Because like when
because the
when
mom
he's
is still
doing-
a very good
when his
mom.
mom's like freaking out because like the dad couldn't come home for dinner and he's like and she's like all upset on the bed, but then like once he starts to worry about Ponyo, then she like flips and like then she becomes the parent again. Like she understands like it's still like a parental role. Like
like especially for a movie that is consumed by so many like young kids, I think it's really impressive how well and like nuanced the relationship is, and I think it's like a good like relationship to show to kids.
Absolutely, yeah. And between Ponyo and every other like kid character in a Ghibli movie, I know Miyazaki and his animators always like, because pretty much, or like all the famous people that they've mentioned in interviews and stuff for Ghibli, they all have kids, and they always base like
Ponyo.
Yeah, Ponyo. Sosuke was based on Goro Miyazaki when he was young, when he was a kid. So Hayao Miyazaki wrote Sosuke based on his own experience raising Goro.
Yeah, and then Ponyo was based on some other like one of the crew members or cast members. Kids. And
that little documentary we saw, it cut off so abruptly.
They overpromised.
Yeah, so stay tuned for an excerpt from 10 years with Hayao Miyazaki.
It wasn't even the 10th anniversary anymore.
It wasn't.
Like 15 now.
It was just it was just an excerpt to talk about the movie.
Like, whatever.
And then they were just like, yeah, and she's based on this daughter, and
then
okay,
it's
bye.
cut off.
If you want more, like, okay.
Just go buy a DVD or something. I don't know.
I have the DVD. I wonder if I have the full thing.
But yeah, basing them off of real people, it just brings so much life. Obviously, it brings so much life to the character, and you can always like, you can't always guess that it's based off someone real. But once you find that out, it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. That's how it's such a well-written character.
It just seems like she's based off a real character.
Exactly.
She has like just a distinctive kind of energy.
No, exactly.
Her personality
especially for writing toddlers and like young little kids, 3-5 years old, like. You can do that so wrong, and I think they aced it without making it like.
And I think
making it appealing.
and something I've noticed specifically, like with the movies I've watched in the last year and a half. I mean, I think it's always been a part of me because my mom is a teacher, so I've always had that like part of my life where I'm always like thinking critically about how kids are portrayed in movies. But I think kids are so often misunderstood and sometimes even misheard in movies that when filmmakers get it right, you have like an amazing movie and a lot of the time even a masterpiece on your hands. And I think that's one of the reasons why Miyazaki is a favorite filmmaker of mine and my entire family, like specifically my mom, because my mom always like appreciates so heavily how well the kids are written in those movies.
Yeah, it's like even their movements or like the way that he goes, like when he's going from his little like daycare like class to like the senior center, the way he goes under the fence, like even the way he moves is so childlike.
Yeah,
like the way that his coat gets stuck and he starts pulling it.
Oh my god! And I read that this movie was hand drawn.
It was,
yeah. That's one of my.
Not all of them are like Howl's Moving Castle. I think was CGI, but
it's on here.
Yeah, Mononoke was the first one to use CGI.
Gorgeous.
And it's still gorgeous.
And you know what though, I kind of really like the like detail that the CGI offers. Miyazaki, and I think I actually prefer because when I was watching this movie, this was my first time watching, and I've watched multiple like many other Studio Ghibli films, and I was like, oh, the art style is a lot simpler. I wonder why. Like, and now learning that it's hand drawn, I'm like, okay, I totally understand. But I really love what they do with CGI.
Yeah, like Spirited Away and Mononoke are so beautiful for that exact reason because
it's just a lot more detail, a lot more.
And Ghibli understands that CGI is best when it's a complementary thing to like the authentic art. Like, I mean, this is like a very different an example is like in most movies, like they're all CGI for effects. Whereas like when it was like still a new art in like the 90s and 2000s, it was used in tandem with practical effects. But now everything is all CGI. And Ghibli is one of those companies, or Ghibli, sorry, is one of the companies that knew that CGI is just a complementary thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's like, it even sounds weird saying that a movie like Howl's Moving Castle is CGI because of what we associate with CGI. Like crazy, like science fiction-y effects, Marvel.
And even the last even the last Ghibli film to come out, Earwig and the Witch, which was completely CGI.
Yeah, exactly.
And also terrible.
Oh. But people don't think of it as something that can create like beautiful, real-looking art. I hope we see more of a trend with that with CGI soon, even though I doubt it.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think maybe that was like also they kind of saw that in like the money that they got back because Howl's Moving Castle grossed $235 million while Ponyo grossed $203 million. So it's kind of like CGI versus no CGI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And maybe it didn't do quite as well.
It's a good question because obviously they both still did really good.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if it's just because Howl's Moving Castle was like less aimed at younger kids. I don't know because like there's always been a super interesting discussion about like, oh, are Studio Ghibli films for kids? And it's like some of them are, some of them aren't. None of them are. None of them like it's interesting.
Yeah.
Ponyo definitely.
Ponyo's more.
Oh, Ponyo's absolutely a kids movie. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It can be for anybody, but it definitely is a kids movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that the 2000s decade is really when Ghibli rose to like international prominence because it wasn't until I think like the late 90s when Pixar picked up the U.S. distribution rights and started doing dubs for Mononoke, Porco Rosso, Kiki's, all those.
Yeah.
And then, but even then, they still didn't get like very wide releases. It wasn't until like I think it was when Spirited Away won the animated film Oscar is when Ghibli and Miyazaki really came to prominence. I remember I was reading on the Wikipedia page that Ponyo was the first Ghibli film to get a wide release in theaters.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And, like, I know Miyazaki's had a lot of trouble. Well, not anymore, obviously, but, like, more like Princess Mononoke era had a lot of trouble, getting, like, his films to be popular in the U.S. and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And be understood, even, like, on a thematic level.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting. And, of course, now, it's like, if you don't know these movies, something's wrong. Like, they're super popular, which is... They deserve it.
Yeah, no, Miyazaki has. I think it helps that a lot of our generation grew up because I think for one thing Disney helped distribute it, so that definitely helped.
Yeah.
But our generation, at least like in everyone I've talked to that's around our age, you guys included, it's like we all had some level of Ghibli growing up, and you know the crowds that these movies get in theaters and the amount of hype that. You know, like Miyazaki's new film, How Do You Live? There are a lot of people who know that's coming out. Like, and the movie, like, you remember Ponyo? That was a very packed theater when we were there. So it's like Miyazaki is. I always think he's a household name at this point.
Mm-hmm. I have decided that I'm making my mom watch all of them with me this summer with Larry.
Nice.
My mom's partner. Shout out Larry and shout out Janine. We love. But
Janine
I will
Smith.
report back on what are her favorites because. I'm excited.
Nice.
She has to watch them. What should I start? What should be the first?
Castle in the Sky, I think, or no, Nausicaa, because that was the first one he did, I think.
Are you going in order?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really care.
Okay.
What do you think is the best one to show her first, even if it's not like the first?
I think Princess Mononoke is like a good one to get people hooked.
I'd say Totoro, to be honest. I
okay.
don't know, because Totoro is also the easiest, so at the same time that could also be a turnoff because it's like kind of slower. I think Howl's Moving Castle is kind of the happy medium between like it's not like super like visually bombastic. Bombastic might not be right, but it's not like as crazy, if that's the right word, as Mononoke, but it's also not like super tame like Totoro. And I don't mean any of those adjectives in like derogatory ways at all. I just think that Howl's Moving Castle is like such an easy place to start with Miyazaki.
Yeah, and yeah, you know what? I might agree.
I think Ponyo might be too childish to like. Start
Yeah,
out
I
with.
agree. Yeah, I'll probably do Howl's.
I have a couple fun facts here.
Okay.
In 2009, Ponyo won 5 awards at the 8th Annual Tokyo Anime Awards. The award included Anime of the Year and Best Domestic Feature. Miyazaki received the award for Best Director and Best Original Story. And Noboru Yoshida, I think, received the award for Best Art Direction.
Slay.
Just some awards. I have a lot of award ones. The film won the award for Animation of the Year and Outstanding Achievement in Music in the 32nd Japan Academy Prize, which I searched because I was like, this has to have won some like music awards.
Yeah.
Like the music in every single Studio Ghibli film is
They're phenomenal, yeah.
perfection. including our beautiful intro song today.
Yeah.
What else?
I have a question.
What's your question?
What do you guys think of the environmentalist themes in Ponyo?
I like them when they're so digestible for children.
They
Yes.
are, yeah.
Because
I
that's the
agree.
one thing that I was able to digest as a child.
And it wasn't too direct and outright, which I kind of like, because it lets kids, like, I think it helps kids prompt, which parents maybe hate.
It helps them come to their
It helped them
conclusions.
ask questions.
Yeah, exactly.
And, they give little, like, more direct, like, obviously there were a lot of direct references to it.
Yeah.
I forget the one that I'm thinking of, but
There are a couple I have in mind.
yeah, there's, like,
And building off what you guys were saying about how it's easily digestible, kind of similar to Parasite, and I guess all of Ghibli's movies, is like Miyazaki's another really good filmmaker for show don't tell. As in,
Exactly.
The reason why we can't think of many quotations is because Miyazaki leaves it up to our imaginations and what we already know. He leaves it up to the audience to make our own interpretations based on what we're seeing. And the fact that he's able to apply that to like kids movies is
Yeah.
really, really impressive.
really impressive. Yeah.
I think the only thing is, like, when I was a kid, since I thought that the father dude was a lot more like villainy, I don't think I didn't really come to the conclusion that he was just trying to help the environment. Like, I don't think that I got that far out of it when I was like a little kid.
Yeah, using the Little Mermaid comparison, it's like he kind of starts out as like Ursula, but then slowly becomes more like King Triton by the end.
Yeah, like, to me it was just like, oh, he's just her dad. He's just trying
I
to...
got the theme, but I think that I was like a lot more scared of him as a kid.
Yeah,
Interesting.
which makes sense. But now going back, I'm like, okay, slay. Character design, he's fitted. He's kind of giving gender fluid.
Yeah. As I wrote my Letterboxd
giving
review,
David Bowie.
Plays non-binary King Triton.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for that, I say slay. And
Yeah.
and that's also was one of my favorite things about Princess Mononoke is that there are no villains, no one villain, which I've quickly realizing those are my favorite films because like I just have nothing bad to say about those kinds of films because it's like I think it's so important for audiences today. I think we need to really get away from this good bad binary because what the fuck does that even mean?
And
It's
then
just like every movie is a hero villain story.
Exactly.
Or like, not every,
it's
but like
just real. It's
pretty
real.
much every like any hero's journey 3-act structure, like pretty much big budget or big genre movie is going to be hero versus villain, and then we've kind of lost like. I feel like the ideology of like everyone is equal. There's not really like clear cut sides. Is kind of lost to like non-English and indie films, unfortunately.
Exactly.
I also think it's cool because it's like you don't really see that in children's films, especially.
Yes.
Like I think maybe
Yes.
that's why I was so confused as a kid because I had only ever really watched Disney animated movies.
So you
that
were like,
didn't have
oh, this
hero
dude must be
villains.
the villain.
Yeah.
That makes
kind of
complete sense.
plays off. If you're not familiar with Ghibli, it kind of plays off your expectations in a very good way.
Exactly. And I think that's so fun.
And I think if I hadn't had as much Disney movie, like if I had seen more, I don't know.
yeah, if you were raised just on this or something.
Yeah, and not so many Disney movies, which I'm not complaining about because I Disney
Yeah,
animated
yeah.
movies.
It got
but,
you here, so.
Exactly. But I think maybe I wouldn't have been confused by that.
It's a really good, like, really super huge question and, like, discussion about, like, how the movies we watch as kids influence us as adults and, like, different countries, standards for children's films and stuff. Like I was just saying, if you had just been raised on movies like this, how fucking different would not only you be, but, like, your entire country be?
Right.
also
I
think,
don't
like,
know.
Maybe Disney animated movies prevent like a little or create more of like a you versus me like individualism.
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly. And that's what I see in the US today. So it's like
Yeah.
Like the comparison that always comes to my mind is like Disney princess movies, for example. It's like for like the ones that specifically came out in the same time of Ponyo. I'm thinking like Princess and the Frog and Tangled. Both those movies, they're not like they're for kids, but there aren't any kids characters. Like even if you think like all the Disney princesses and even a lot of just Disney protagonists in general are usually like at least like in their teenager, young adult years. And they're just kind of like ignoring that early phase of life, but all of the all the Ghibli kids are like ages 10 under. Like Chihiro in Spirited Away is only 10. The two girls in Totoro are obviously very young, and Sosuke is 5.
Yeah.
And what I really like about that, in the context of what you guys were saying, how it like influences us when we're young, is Ghibli movies embrace childhood, both the joys and the stipulations,
Yeah,
and also
they
just
treat it with the same weight.
and they embrace childhood imagination. It's like such an important part of growing up is finding joy in everything and like building your mind creatively as you learn about the world. And you get so much of that because you have characters who are literally going through that exact same thing in Ghibli more than like Illumination or Disney or any of those.
Yeah, and like you have things like Lilo and Stitch that I feel like did like a pretty good job about that kind of thing.
Oh, there are absolutely some
But,
exceptions, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Even though apparently this movie, it was, Miyazaki said that he was inspired to create it after watching The Little Mermaid.
I did
Which
see
of
that.
course
That was gonna
makes
be one of my
sense.
Yeah.
fun facts. I'm
Yeah,
also
yeah,
sorry.
I had a point on that too, actually.
But I think this is way better.
Yeah.
And I think better for kids, like we were just talking about.
Yeah. And the Disney live action Little Mermaid is not going to have David Bowie playing non-binary King Triton,
True,
so
true.
automatically
You
it's
don't
not
know
as
about
good.
Oh my
that crab. Sebastian. Okay. Also, my other thing was, where was it? He or Miyazaki created the character Ponyo because he thought it was kind of an onomatopoeia for soft, squishy softness.
Oh, I like that.
The
So
little
cute.
word. I thought that was so cute.
I like that, yeah.
I always
where did
wonder,
it come
like,
from?
how they have onomatopoeia in different languages and stuff. Like how even people who speak different languages don't even have the same sound effect for like an animal or something. I think that stuff is so interesting.
Yeah.
So I think that's so cute.
And kind of like going off of that also for like inspiration, something I also like briefly read the Wikipedia page before this, and I realized that in the entire production section there wasn't a single film mentioned. Like all of Miyazaki's inspirations came from non-film literature. Like
That's
he
cool,
wasn't
yeah.
like in the Wikipedia page, maybe he was inspired by the movie, but he specifically cited the Hans Christian Andersen story from like when he was growing up. He read that.
Yeah.
He got
Or like operas.
Exactly. No, yeah, there was a lot of operas. Like, I remember the scene, or even like the scene where Ponyo was running on all the fish during the tsunami. You know, if you remember that scene from the movie, he was inspired by that because he was listening to "Fly to the Valkyries" while he was drawing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite factoid that kind of goes back to the environmentalist themes is when he first got the idea that Ponyo would be someone living in the sea, or like the environmentalist themes in general, is when he was in an art museum in Britain and he saw a painting from the 1850s called Ophelia, which depicts a lady who was like either asleep or just like unconscious, like laying in the water, which
Ooh.
he saw as both like a metaphor for environmentalism and
Yeah.
also like inspired Ponyo. So that is kind of how I got the environmentalist theme, the connection.
Interesting.
I love Ponyo so much.
Oh, it's so good. Apparently this is Ponyo has the most like images because it's hand drawn, like the most images that have ever been in a Miyazaki film, which apparently is 170,000 separate images.
God damn.
That's how detailed this animation is.
How
And
many people
these
worked
are
on that, I
hand drawn.
wonder?
Most of
There
it
were all the
was
people in
Hayao
the end credits,
Miyazaki
yeah.
himself.
Yeah, he's
he drew
insane.
most of the scene wave imagery apparently.
Wow.
Which is, you know, it's so expressionistic and
Mhm.
like obviously, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
so interesting. Like how do you do that? How?
Yeah.
How does it not take 30 years to create this movie? I don't
I know.
understand. The dedication is
Yeah,
insane.
like I remember the one he's doing now, How Do You Live? That was like that he started that in like 2019,
yeah.
and like he had finished like maybe 2 minutes by the end of the year. And there was another
Oh my
report like
God.
like during COVID. Like I mean, I think it depends on life circumstances, but I think it's so impressive that at some point during COVID, it was like March 2021. But after that year, he said he was already almost halfway done with a 2-hour
Damn.
with a 2-hour movie.
That's crazy.
hmm
And apparently he was gonna make a sequel to Ponyo, but
Wind Rises. I also read that.
I don't know that I would want a sequel.
I don't think it really
I'm
needs
sure
a
that
sequel.
He would do it.
It would be cute.
justice.
Yeah.
Um,
None of the Ghibli movies have gotten sequels,
It
and
just- yeah.
I think it's to their benefit.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like maybe some other movies, but I feel like this movie's a little too not simple in a bad way, but I feel like it's meant for kids, so it's like a little bit there's like a simple factor, and I feel like it
Yeah.
doesn't need to be elaborated on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that brings up the last question I had for my notes, which is how do you guys what do you guys think of the ending, both like thematically and emotionally? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
It got a little bit confusing for a second, but
Which part?
Like specifically like the finale, like how Sosuke and Ponyo avoid Ponyo's dad, and they find harmony and they kiss and Ponyo becomes a human again.
like that part.
Like
Oh,
just
I think
the
it's super
finale,
cute.
yeah.
I think it's so like cinematic, and that is where, since the rest of the movie isn't cliche and Disney like, I think having that little kind of Disney vibe at the end honestly was really cute.
It was.
I think it was fun, and the little like, you know, closing circle on the last scene is like a little nod to Disney kind of vibes. I don't know. I thought it was super cute,
Yeah.
and I'm happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
Jadyn.
I don't know. I was definitely like more confused by that as a child because like I remember specifically not understanding why Ponyo's mom was talking to Sasuke's mom for so long because like the old ladies were like saying how they were been talking for so long, and like looking back, it's clear that she's just like, "Are you gonna look after my daughter?" Like, in the real world. But I didn't get that part when I was a kid. There was like a lot of little things that I didn't get as a kid that I feel like made a lot more sense now that I've like went back.
Yeah, and like we were kind of saying at the beginning, I do wish the last half was paced the same as the first half. Like I wish we had more. Honestly, maybe a sequel would have been cool. I don't know. I wish we had more with like the mother. Because I think her character is so cool, and then I wanted more.
Yeah. But at the same time, building off what we said earlier, would that also bring up the risk of there being a true villain in the sequel? Because Ponyo works so well because there's not really a true villain, but then in a sequel, would they be able to continue the story just as successfully without like a villain?
I think it'd be really funny for the dad to come back and realize that they just adopted another kid.
No, literally.
That'd be funny.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, okay, new
what?
kid just dropped, but also they're in love.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably a little bit of.
Oh wait, yeah, you're.
Explain that. So they're not siblings.
I do also kind of think that they're gonna grow up and probably not actually like be a couple or anything. I think they're gonna be like. Maybe that's
they're
gross.
gonna be like.
I hope so.
They're like
I think
soulmates.
I feel like you can only like grow up with someone like from like when you're 5 years old to like an adult. You can't like grow up and not develop like a sibling bond.
Yeah, be like joined at the hip, but like in a friend way.
Yeah,
well,
like I don't
mean,
get how that's gonna like. It's gonna be almost. It would. I know that didn't happen, so but
it's gonna be
kind of gross if like they basically grow up as siblings and then like still end up as a couple. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's something that kids won't understand, but as the 19-year-olds that we are, the ambiguity is a little bit strange.
I'm like they're gonna be raised like all in the same. I don't know. Anyway, but I think that maybe there's like a bit of a metaphor somewhere with like, you know, when his. Or Ponyo's dad is like chasing him and he's running on the fence to the old woman.
Yes.
I feel like the old woman has to represent something, like maybe like the deniers of like some sort of like environmental problem or something that are I don't know, but I feel like her like she's there for a reason. I
don't know. I actually didn't. I remember that scene. I didn't interpret that as environmental. I just interpreted that as like kind of respecting your elders. Because I mean, if you remember earlier on, Sasuke has a harder time doing that. Like, he just kind of like ignores the older people, but then like when like also the lady who was like at the edge of the fence was the one who Ponyo spit on and was like the superstitious one who even like warned Sosuke that this would be like cause a tsunami, which I mean she was right, it did. Yeah. So I feel like now that he's finally respecting her elders, maybe I interpret that more as like a coming of age moment.
Plus, because respecting your elders is like much more important culturally outside of the United States, especially in like,
I think
Asian
you're right.
countries.
Yeah.
So. Like filial piety or piety, I don't know. I was gonna say Toki, like the old lady.
Which one?
She's like she was this the superstitious one, like the ornery one or whatever.
Yeah.
Was based off Miyazaki's mother.
As really?
Was the mother in Totoro.
Oh, interesting.
Which is cute. I think you can tell. I think it's kind of funny that like.
You can tell that when people are like inspired by.
I love that he does that for so many of his characters.
Yeah. I think the only reason I was thinking like maybe it meant something deeper is because it's like I felt like it would have been just as easy for him to like capture him and bring him down to like the underworld because that's what he did anyway. So it was like interesting to me that he had it happen with the older woman because it didn't have to like she could have just been like brought with them. You know what I mean? It was like interesting to me that she like fully denied like going down with them and then tried to convince him. I don't know.
Real.
Anyway, what were our final ratings for this movie?
I gave it a 7 out of 10 first, but after kind of reflecting on the environmental themes, specifically the ending, which specifically like when Ponyo is free to kind of become a human and get with Sosuke, I thought that was also like kind of poetic and thematic in the sense that it's like Miyazaki's like humanizing, you know, like fish. I say fish like a basic term, but that's literally what Ponyo is. Like he's kind of like it's like a representation of the harmony between ocean life, sea life, and humanity. So I thought building off like what we said, like it's like an easy to digest theme of, you know, environmentalism. I thought that was a really great way to like show the joining of these two worlds and like kind of humanizing ocean life so we stop trashing it.
Exactly.
I guess. Anyways, the rating, yeah. After I made that connection, which actually helped me bump the rating up from a 7 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think the fact that this movie has so many, like, it has so much going on that, like, until you stop to think about it for a second, it just kind of is like, oh, cute.
Yeah.
But it's actually got a lot going on.
It just seems like a cute little kids movie when you think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, when you watch it older. So if anybody here has not watched, not here in this room, if anybody hasn't watched it since they were little, I would highly recommend a rewatch. And this is my first time watching it, so I do wish I had that comparison, but I gave it like 4.5. Ideally, like 4.25 if I could.
And what out of 10?
Out of 10, probably like 8.5.
Cool.
I think I gave it 5 on
Mhm.
Letterboxd. I think out of a 10, I would give it like a 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just really strong.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, we can nitpick, but
I just love when movies are like good, like really good when you were a kid, and they're just still really good.
oh
now.
my
Oh,
God.
absolutely.
There's so
Nothing
many
beats
movies
it.
No, I've been
That I
doing
could
I've been doing that a
rewatch.
lot of that this
Same
year,
for shows.
and yeah.
Nothing beats that feeling.
It's like there's so many things that I could rewatch as an adult that I would be like, this just isn't it. Like it would never be the same
Uh-huh.
feeling.
Absolutely,
but it's like,
yeah.
It was the same feeling watching it in the theater
Yeah.
that it was when I was like a kid.
Yeah,
It's like, I'm
it
excited
holds
for
up.
Howl's Moving Castle to come to Ghibli Fest because I
Oh
haven't
my
seen
God.
Howl's Moving Castle since I was 9.
Oh my god, really?
It's been a long time for me,
oh,
yeah.
let me know what you think, because that's...
Well, it'll be in September. We'll all be back in school,
Oh,
so
slay. Wait, we should go.
yeah.
And then we also have to go to Spirited Away.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ghibli Fest is continuing, like, the whole freaking year.
Yeah. And
so-
unfortunately, the next one is literally the week after finals, unfortunately.
No, literally.
We'll have to go see Kiki's Delivery Service in our hometowns.
Yeah. I'll make my
I
mom.
hope they do Ghibli Fest in Seattle. They have to.
I'm sure they do.
I bet they do
I'm
it
sure
at
they
most
do.
major...
Yeah.
I mean, if it's
Because-
at our AMC, it's
yeah.
probably at most, right?
Yeah. Well, Ghibli Fest is a wide thing. Like, it's
That's
in,
what I
in
thought.
my hometown, it was there too.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
It definitely will be a thing.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure if it was like a Midwest thing.
No,
Oh, no,
yeah.
it's nationwide, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Slay.
Cool. All right. That's it for this week, guys.
Thank you so much,
Yay.
guys. Sleep tight.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, special guest Joshua Peterson.
Of course. I had a truly great time.
Woo woo. Go watch Ponyo.
Please
Mhm.
watch Ponyo.
Should we play ourselves out?
Yeah.
Ready?
Get that shit. Get that.
We can all. Okay, wait.
Thanks, guys. Ponyo fishy in the sea. Tiny little fishy.
Would you really be?
Bum, bum, bum.
Ponyo, 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 magic sets you free. Oh, she's a little girl with a round tummy.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So real.
Bye.